What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be changing out the frame on my Mobula 6. Don't mind my hands. I do turn wrenches for a living, so they are pretty well stained. Now we're going to be changing out the frame and the props on these today. These are HQ props. They're 31 millimeters. The frame is a cockroach frame. I've had really good luck with these frames in the past, and they can take a pretty good beating. I only fly this thing in my basement, so it's a lot of fun for me here, and I can slam it into walls and not worry about cracking a frame. So now we're just going to go with the disassembly. We're going to take the props off first. I know the tool I'm getting ready to use, everybody hates these things. I just use them to start to take them off, and then I'll use my fingers and just grip them. But I got to raise it up off of the motor a little bit so I can get my big fat fingers in there. And we just take them off. I've got a million and one of those just laying in that little container over there to the right. Okay, so I'm not too much worried about those. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to disassemble the frame, take the motor plugs out. These can be a little bit of a pain, especially if you got big fingers like I do. And trying to get them out without grabbing them by the wire, try to grab them by the plug or as close as you can. And once you get all those plugs out, you get everything out of your way so you can start taking the motors out. Now, these are Phillips head screws. They're little teeny tiny things. You can use the screwdriver that comes with them. I do. I have a full set that's bigger for my hands, but that's what was close. And just unscrew all four motors. And just notate where you take the motors off. I like to point the camera away from me, and I'll put the motors where they go. They're color coded with the wires, but it makes my life simpler. Now we're going to take off the canopy. Like I said, these are just metal screws into little bitty plastic pieces, so they're not in there that hard. So just take your time. You don't want to slip and damage something on the board. Now remember, when you take this off, that camera is attached to the board. There is a plug. Just be sure to unplug it. Don't go ripping the canopy straight off. You'll damage it. And pay attention to where both of the antennas are, just so you don't break them off. But the board and everything comes off in one fell swoop, and that's it. Be sure to grab your rubber grommets on there. I have a bunch of these in that thing. Now we're placing the board in the new frame. Now it is not in the same orientation as the original frame. I like my batteries running sideways, the toilet tank style. So mine's just a little bit sideways compared to how they would normally run it when they come to you. Now we put the motors back in. Same orientation that they came off of. You should have either paid attention to the wire location or laid them out like I did, so it's easier to remember. And I have found that picking these up with a pair of tweezers and putting them through the hole first is an easier way for me to do it. You may have a different one, which is great, but this is just what's easiest for me. Now, please bear in mind, when I shot this video, I had just changed the transmission earlier that day, so my fingers and everything's pretty much sore, but I wanted to get this one done and out of the way because I have a few more builds coming up. Now we have all four motors on. Go back and make sure they're tight. Don't tighten them down too tight. You will rip through the plastic, but just make sure they're nice and snug and they're not going anywhere. Now we're just going to go through and plug in all the motor wires. Make sure you're plugging them in the right way. You can put them in backwards if you push hard enough. And we're going to put the canopy screw in the back that I lost. When I picked it up with the tweezers, it just kind of shot across the room. So I'll just pull one out of my spare containers and yeah, see? Pretty little bag. I have been through quite a few of these little loops. They're a lot of fun and I enjoy them. Now, right here, I didn't want to run it through the bottom of the board, through the bottom of the frame, I mean, so I just kind of tucked it out of the back and in between the frame and the canopy because it works better for the way I mount my battery. Now, we're going to run through and we're going to put the props on. And I remembered my orientation so I can lay them out how I need them. And then we're just going to install them. Once they're installed, we're going to go through and we're going to hook it up to Betaflight and we're going to check and make sure that we did everything correctly so we don't fry anything. Yes, I was watching a Bardwell video. We're going to go through, we're going to connect the battery, make sure the motors are spinning the proper way. Now, this video, I took the props back off just so we're safe. But here I'm just checking the motor direction and make sure that I put them back on correctly. And make sure I didn't damage a wire when I connected the connectors in. Mhm. We're going to disconnect. Disconnect. And then we're gonna put the props on. Now I appreciate you watching this video. This is the first video I've done with a voiceover, so it may not be perfect, but as I do more and progress, it will get better. But as my first one, I just wanted to get the first one out of the way. So thank you for watching. I really enjoyed you being here. Now, I like to take my props and I'll squeeze them all the way down till they touch the motors. It stops you from bending a shaft. In my experience, that's what I've dealt with, and that's it.